As a nomadic and a merchant society, travel and exploration was fundamental to the Arab way of life. In addition, with the birth of Islam in the 7th century, the Quran required every able-bodied Muslim to undertake a pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in their lifetime. The growth and vast extent of the Islamic Empire meant that scholars, traders, sailors and pilgrims travelled extensively. Their descriptions of the lands they travelled to grew in volume and detail, resulting in the most comprehensive mapping the world had ever seen. One of the most captivating Muslim explorers of this time was Ibn Battuta, who set out from Tangier in Morocco for Mecca at the tender age of 21 years. He had no idea at the time how this journey would direct the course of his life. A journey that was meant to last 16 months turned into an adventure that lasted almost 3 decades. In this time, he travelled 120,000 kilometres, traversed 42 different countries, and worked as a judge and advisor for sultans and emperors. In 1354, he returned home to Tangier with amazing stories of distant and exotic places. He wrote of his travels in the Rihla, a remarkable diary that provided an enlightening account of the Islamic world at that time. It named over 2,000 people he had met and whose tombs he had visited, including 60 heads of state, 24 of whom he had worked for as an advisor. A legendary Muslim explorer of the time was the 15th century sailor and poet Ahmad ibn Majid. Born in the 1430s, his life spanned the most critical century in nautical history, when competition between the world powers for trade routes was savage, and when knowledge at sea meant power. Ahmad ibn Majid's extraordinary chronicles and navigational expertise gave Muslim voyagers a great advantage. His first chronicles, Hawiyah, written in the unusual form of a 1,082-line poem, was a compendium of navigational theory, detailing routes across the entire Indian Ocean. His next work, the Book of Profitable Things Concerning the Principles and Rules of Navigation, published in 1490, was considered the best book on Arabic navigation ever written. Its extensive content covered seasonal winds, star positions, locations of ports, and all the sea routes relevant to trade at the time. Perhaps the greatest Muslim cartographer was Piri Reis. Born in Gallipoli in 1465 into a family of sailors, Piri Reis spent most of his life at sea, serving as admiral of the Ottoman fleet and leading the naval force against the Portuguese in the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean. He created the earliest existing map of the Americas, which he compiled from a collection of 20 maps, including charts designed by Christopher Columbus. It is so accurate that it can still be used today. He also wrote the Book of Navigation, regarded as the definitive work on navigation at the time. And from his extensive voyages throughout the coastal regions of the Mediterranean Sea, Reis compiled his Kitab-i-Bariyeh, a famous nautical handbook. This handbook provided accurate geographical descriptions of the area as well as detailed sea charts. Described as a tall, handsome man with the stride of a tiger, the Muslim Chinese Admiral Zheng He commanded not only the respect of an emperor, but also nearly 30,000 seamen, and one of the greatest fleets of ships of all time. Born as Ma He in Kunming in 1371 to a Muslim family, he was captured by Chinese warriors of the Ming Empire. Soon afterwards, he was placed in the service of Prince Zhu Di, who, on becoming emperor, appointed Ma He as admiral of the imperial fleet and awarded him the title Zheng He. To fulfill the emperor's ambitions, Zheng He assembled a fleet of unheard-of proportions. The ships were able to spend months, even years, away from home, sustaining the 28,000-strong crew that it carried. This fleet consisted of a variety of specialized ships, including mighty treasure ships, which at more than 3,000 tons displacement and 1,000 passenger capacity dwarfed the vessels of later European explorers. Zheng He completed 6 voyages between 1405 and 1433. He brought back treasures from places far and wide, and his voyages were central to the development of Islam in Indonesia and Malaysia. He died on his return from his 7th voyage. By this time, Zheng He's fleet had visited most known cultures in the Indian Ocean region and anchored in the most famous ports of the time. He travelled at least as far south as the Mozambique Channel, whilst some historians claim that he even rounded the Cape of Good Hope and reached the Americas and Europe via the Atlantic Ocean. He is also reputed to have travelled through the Red Sea ship canal to Cairo, down the Nile River, and to Italy. Although his achievements have largely been ignored in the annals of history, his name is famous in nautical circles across the world. These courageous Muslim explorers made an extraordinary contribution to the course of history and to our knowledge of the world in which we live. They established friendly diplomatic and trading relationships with people of many countries and paved the way for the age of exploration that would follow.